may mga tao na always compromising with the basic fundamentals of life. Alam mo itong mga bleeding hearts, they look at the penal laws.
Isa sa mga prominente noong war on drugs noong rehimeng Duterte ay ang mga pulis. Dahil sila ang nagsasagawa ng mga operasyon kontra droga. Nakipagpanayam kami sa isang pulis kung ano at bakit ang nararamdaman nila o kaya naman ang opinion nila. Tawagin na lang natin siyang Kulas. Aktibo po ba kayo? Kayong pulis sa serbisyo noong nangyayari ang war on drugs?
Yes. Way back 2016, nung pumasok ako ng service as part of PNP organization.
For number 2 question, anong pakiramdam ng pagiging pulis habang nasa termino ni Duterte?
Well, in terms of benefits, during the time of former President Duterte, it actually it drastically changed compared to what the law enforcers are getting back then. So nagkaroon ng doble ng salary, which I think one of the factors na nagdala ng eagerness or ng drive doon sa ating mga law enforcement officers to do more in terms of delivering services.
Para po bang incentivization yung nangyari?
Actually, I think it's more on appropriation. Kasi ang kagaya nga ng sinasabi ng karamihan, bilang isang law enforcement officer, tuwing aalis ka ng bahay, hindi mo sigurado kung makakauwi ka pa.
Sa pangatlong tanong po, naniniwala ka bang epektibo ang paraan sa pagpuksa ng drug-related issues noong panahon ni Duterte?
Well, personally, ako kasi lumaki ako sa Bagong Silang, Caloocan, and I could still remember back then yung drug trade seems legal. Back then yung abutan ng droga during broad daylight is parang normal na lang wala nang kinakatakutan, but that change since the war on drugs started. Ang laki na naging pagbabago. Even yung mga non-personalities na involved sa illegal drugs, umalis sa lugar namin noong time na yun.
Pang-apat na tanong po, paano naka-apekto ang extrajudicial killing sa relasyon ng komunidad at law enforcement agencies?
Well, EGK kasi are isolated cases. Kaya nga nagkaroon ng investigating bodies to monitor the integrities of police operations. So during war on drugs, I could say na mas naging active ang involvement or support ng community. Kasi back then, lalong dumami yung mga reports at yung confidential informants pertaining to drugs. So I could say na mas naging harmonious or mas naging maganda yung relationship na ang community sa law enforcement.
Ayun lang po. So, familiar po ba kayo sa all cops are bastards na political slogan o kaya protesta?
Oo, yung AKAP na protest. Well, actually, lahat naman ng government programs, kapag nasisilip or may nakikita na hindi maganda, is nagkakaroon ng protest against dito. Kasi meron tayong tinatawag na freedom of expression. So as law enforcement officer, despite of the circumstances, we had to stand on our mandates and continue delivering the service to the people.
Pero despite of that, ang ACAB o All Cops are Bastards na protesta noong war on drugs ay may epekto ba sa mga kapulisan?
Well, it varies on the individual perspective na lang siguro kung magpapa-epekto ka. But of course, despite of the whatever circumstances you have, you still have to deliver the service expected from you.
Sa mentality po ng kapulisan, ano pong epekto sa inyo nito?
Actually, though it caught my attention, pero hindi naman talaga siya naka-apekto. Ini-ignore ko lang.
Okay. So, ayun lang po ang concluded ng interview namin. Thank you po.
Sa Quezon City, for Vitereses, ay nahanap namin ang dalawang interviewee ng Generation X and Y, o mas kilala sa katawagan ng Baby Boomers at Millennials. Ang kanilang mga opinions were very similar, yet so different. But both of them made sense in their own perspectives. Ito ang kanilang mga kasagutan sa aming dokumentaryo. Okay. Magandang gabi po, and I am John David M. Garcia. I would like to ask you about, for our documentary about extrajudicial killings and war on drugs po. So, first, meron po ba kayong kapamilya na nabiktima ng war on drugs?
Wala.
Wala naman po. Salamat.
Wala akong alam.
Ay, wala.
Wala akong alam kung meron akong kapamilya na.
Okay po. So, sa tingin niyo po ba makatwiran yung pagpapatupad ng war on drugs?
Depende. Meron kasi mga umaabuso.
Okay. Thank you. That's right. So, ayun niyo po. Like, katulad po nung na-explain ko kanina, naiintindihan niyo na po ba yung extrajudicial killings?
Yes.
May mali ka po ba na nangyayari ito noong panahon ni Duterte?
Medyo. Meron naman.
Sige po. Sa tingin niyo po ba, nangyayari na ang pinangako ni dating Pangulong Duterte na change is coming?
Depende yun sa tao. Hindi pwedeng sabihin lang ni Duterte na change is coming if lahat naman ng citizens na Filipino citizens hindi susunod sa rules ng government or even sa personal growth lang. Yan.
Thank you. Thank you po. So, ano po yung religion nyo?
Baptist.
Baptist. Bilang Baptist, sa tingin niyo po ba katanggap-tanggap ang extrajudicial killings?
No. Hindi. Kasi mortal sin pa rin naman yun. So hindi naman parang meron pa rin namang dapat na parusa.
Thank you. And eto po, last question. Ayos lang po ba sa inyo ang pagmumura ni Duterte habang nasa pinakamataas na posisyon ng gobyerno? Bakit at bakit hindi?
Depende. Okay lang if informal siguro yung pinag-uusapan. Pero for formal and maririnig ng mga kabataan, siguro hindi. Yan.
So, yun. Maraming salamat po. Ayan yun lang po yung mga questions na nakahanda. And maraming salamat po sa participation. Po kami mga katanungan regarding war on drugs, EJK po. So, meron po ba kayong alam sa extrajudicial killings?
Oh,
Okay po. Sige. Sa tingin niyo po ba nangyayari na yung ipinangako ni dating Pangulong Duterte na change is coming?
luma na yan eh.
Yung kay Duterte. Kaya nga po. Pero sa tingin niyo po, nangyayari na po ba siya?
Dati,
Nangyayari na po. Anong kapanahonan niya? Okay po. Meron po ba kayong kapamilya na nabiktima ng war on drugs?
sana meron.
Pero wala naman.
Ligtas.
Kaligtas. Sa tingin niyo po ba, makatwiran yung pagpapatupad ng war on drugs?
Of course. Hindi. Yeah.
Thank you. So, kayo po ba ay Katoliko or Kristiyano?
Catholic.
Bilang Katoliko o bilang Katoliko po, sa tingin niyo po ba katanggap-tanggap ang mga extrajudicial killings?
Yes, it is. Bakit? Kasi kapag merong isa sa pamilya na addict or lulong sa masamang bisyo, hindi lang naman siya yung namamatay. Hindi lang siya yung namatay. Patay na yan eh. Considered dead kapag nasa drugs ang isang tao. Now, ang ano doon is, pati yung mga kapamilya niya, papatayin niya pa.
Kaya, dadadamay. Alam mo yun?
Okay po. Thank you. Last question po. Ayos lang po ba sa inyo yung pagmumura ni Duterte habang nasa pinakamataas na posisyon ng gobyerno?
Oo. Sobrang oo. Why not? It's just an expression. Hindi naman siya evil. Ang evil, yung mga gumagawa ng hindi maganda.
Thank you po. Maraming salamat po.
Nakipagpanayam din kami sa mga estudyanteng nag-specialize sa social sciences kung ano ang kanilang kaalaman tungkol sa war on drugs. Kasama ko sila Miss Joan Manuba ng Master in Comparative Literature at Miss Angelica Jan ng Master in Asian Studies ng University of the Philippines.
So let's proceed na po for the interview questions po. Number 1 is, how do you perceive the impact of Duterte's war on drugs campaign on society and the Philippines?
Okay, so regarding the first question, Miss Angelica, would you like to start?
With the first question, how do you perceive the impact of the Duterte's war on drugs campaign on society in the Philippines? I think one of its main impact is fear, and maybe I think it also created the atmosphere of hate, hindi na totally hatred, no, but maybe fear against the police as well. Parang nabuhay yung mga statements such as ACAB or all cops are bastards because of that. Maybe some people might look at it on a positive note na nabawasan yung addict, no, but at the end of the day, why Philippines is hiding from the ICC, no, if they are thinking, if they are perceiving that this tokhang, that these extrajudicial killings are positive naman pala. So ayun, I think it's still fear and also some hatred towards the government or towards the people in power, especially the policemen.
Thank you, Ms. Ignacio. Proceeding to the next question, how have the extrajudicial killings impacted the relationship between the community and law enforcement agencies?
Okay, as for me naman, how have the extrajudicial killings impacted the relationship between the community and law enforcement agencies? So, I am personally aware of how this happened because in our community, we live in an area wherein these kinds of things happen talaga, like in real life. So I witnessed some of my neighbors' houses being ransacked by the policemen. I also experienced one of the people that I kind of know growing up. Being handed this kind of extrajudicial killing. Sorry. So that kind of personal knowledge to how this thing happened for myself as part of that community affected my perception of the law enforcement agencies, knowing that they are supposed to what is that to I forgot the motto, but to serve and protect, right? But they did not do such things. I think they more on, for the most part, they were inhumane in their methods, and they really, according to most of the cases that my ate also handled, because she also volunteered in Akapamilya, a group that caters to families who were victimized by the extrajudicial killings of Duterte. So those effects, these kinds of events, it really gives you the perception that law enforcement agencies are there to incite harm instead of serving and protecting the community. So there you go. Thank you.
Thank you for the answers. For the next question, do you think that Duterte's instilling fear in the Filipinos was effective?
Was it effective though? Maybe during his administration it was effective. Maybe during that specific time lang siguro, no, what I'm thinking. Kasi during the pandemic naman, it was still his administration. Pero the people was scared not because of Tokhang. The people are scared not because of drug addicts roaming around. They are scared because they don't want to be killed No, they don't want to felt that injustice. Was it effective? Instilling fear? I think it's more of the fear of the police, not actually of the fear of not using drugs, of not being a pusher or whatsoever. Maybe at some point it was effective, but not totally. Kasi after the Duterte's administration, the drug addicts, the drug pushers are back to normal, no? And I think baka mas naging rampant ba yun because of this new administration's support, or maybe because they lack new policies for drug related cases. So maybe during his time there was a period it was effective, but now hindi na siya effective.
How did Duterte shape the Filipinos' minds through the war on drugs and the result of it, extrajudicial killings?
How did it shape our minds? Na wala talagang katarungan sa bansang to. Those people who are in power, they can really do whatever they want to do. Siguro the only the only thing they got from the extrajudicial killing was population control. Yun ang talaga yung naisip ko, no? Na meron bang napala, nabawasan ba yung drugs? Hindi. Bumalik lang din sila. Parang what happened, para silang rats na nagtago lang ulit sa lungga, no? No, nagkakapatayan na. And most of them, no, they weren't able to kill the drug lords themselves. They just killed the pushers. Yung mga users lang, yung mga sachet-sachet lang yung binibilig shabu. Ayun lang yung napatay nila. Ayun lang yung na-address nila. Wala naman siya naiiwang message, wala namang naiiwang learning sa Filipinos na, hindi na tayo dapat mag-drugs, no? But instead, maybe it left the idea to us that the people in power can kill us anytime. The people in power, the policemen, they won't protect us. No, hindi talaga sila to protect and serve the people. They are there to protect the people in power. No, and we are not those people, unfortunately, in our country. So, ayun, I think yung na-instill sa Filipino minds na the people, the government officials are not here to serve us. They are there to protect themselves, to serve and protect themselves.
For the seventh question, how did incentivization relate to extrajudicial killings during the war on drugs?
How did incentivization relate to extrajudicial killings during the war on drugs era? Siguro I can relate this to the traffic enforcers in Manila nowadays. May quota sila. Na parang every day ata, they should have this total number of tickets being given away to those drivers, no, who refuse to follow the traffic laws. Parang ganun ata yung nangyari during Tokhang era, no, in the Philippines. That these policemen, as they say, these policemen, they are the actual drug dealers. So, kailangan nilang protektahan, kailangan nilang patayin yung mga pushers nila para hindi sila ilaglag. And also, I believe, meron tayong mga nangyayari, no, na parang they are also asking prisoners to go outside their prisons and to do tokhang, yung mga naka-riding in tandem daw. Sabi nila mga prisoners daw yun. And also, of course, yung mga policemen na meron daw mga quota, no, na parang if ever you can kill this number of people in one night, meron kang incentives. And as I mentioned earlier, no, the policemen, they received very parang higher salary, no? Kaya rin maraming nag-aaral ngayon para mag-police because of that matter. How can I relate it? That's their motivation, money. No, so kanina, pag-usapan natin, no, that this government instilled in our mind na madali tayong patayin, na hindi mahalaga yung buhay natin. But in question number 7, it gives us the idea that money can buy everything, even your life. Even our lives, no? As long as the government, as long as the rich can give money, people will do anything for that money. And I think that really helped, that really pushed people. No, na kunwari kung ako, drug pusher ako, tapos sa akin ni boss, magtokhang ka na lang, mag-riding in tandem ka na lang, okay. Kesa naman magutom yung pamilya ko, kesa naman ako yung tokhangin. At least before ako patayin, meron muna ako mayuuwing amount of money, no, in my family. So, and I think it pushed people more to kill, the incentivization.
Thank you again for your insights. As for the last question, how did the three generations, which are Gen X, Millennials, Gen Z's mentality, contribute to sociology during the war on drugs?
I think I can only speak for my generation. During this time, right? Gen Z ba tayo? Aja? I'm not sure, pero yeah, ito yung generation na pinalaki ng internet. And sa social media, rampant yung humor with tokhang. And yun yung nagiging problema kasi because we are seeing so much violence, we are kind of desensitized to it. When we say someone is desensitized to something, we don't feel any kind of parang irkiness or parang we are not disturbed anymore by these kinds of things because it often happens. And I think that goes the same way for the other generations, although the effects for them and their perceptions are different. For the Gen Zs, most of their, I can only speak for myself and the people that I know, the coping mechanism probably or the way that the Gen Zs manifest these being desensitized to violence is through humor, through dark humor, like in on the internet, di ba? No, baka matokhang ka, ganyan. So, yung mga ganong bagay, no? Because most people or Filipinos have this tendency of making fun of everything. Dati pa, like, in the, uh, in the primitive times, no, bago pa yung pre-colonial era, talagang may mga, yung mga Filipino, they like humor, they like funny things. So, yung ganong kind of idea, siguro, what else? Like what Miss Ignacio said, if you would talk to Gen X or to millennials, they can offer you different kinds of answers. But I can only speak for my generation. The boomers, they would say, okay lang yan, ako, wala namang ano kasi talagang dapat mamatay na yung mga adik na yan. Most of the millennials, I think sila yung mga tinatarget. Marami akong kakilala na millennial na sila yung natatarget ng war on drugs and Gen Zs as well. So, yun. I hope you got something out of my answer. Thank you.
That's all for our interview. Thank you, Miss Manuba, Miss Ignacio, for joining our little documentary called Change is Coming.
Lahat ng na-interview naming tao ay may mga opinion at may punto. Kahit na nagkokontrahan ang opinion ng isa't isa, nakakuha tayo ng sulyap kung bakit magkakaiba mag-isip ang mga tao. Naintindihan natin ang lipunan. Ang iba ay bumabase sa emosyon, ang iba ay bumabase sa paniniwala, at ang iba naman ay bumabase sa katotohanan.